welcome back to my channel. My name is Treasure. On this channel we share everything about motherhood, everything about my life in Canada. Today I wanted to talk about my bed story. I put up my bed vlog 1 month ago, and I just feel like it's time to really tell you guys like what went down. Okay, I've seen so many stories on the internet, so many bad stories, so many good stories. You know, you just have to sift the one that works for you. And when I was pregnant for my third child, I still had to go to the internet and look up bed stories and all that. We all do that, and there's something that happens with our brains. I don't know if that happens to you as well, but when you give birth, you kind of like forget. Sometimes your brain kind of like forgets a whole lot of things, because I couldn't even remember what happened with my first time. I could remember some specific things, but I can't really get myself to remember vividly everything that happened during the birth of my other two kids. So I went on the internet to check for stories, and I saw some good and positive ones, and I saw some bad ones. And the funny thing about these bad ones is not bad ones, maybe traumatic. Let me not say bad, but traumatic. The funny thing about the traumatic ones is that it gets to your head as a pregnant woman, and you start getting anxious. I am an anxious person, so watching those videos just made me more anxious. So I told myself that if I have a positive story, if I have a positive bet, I will definitely share my story, so that if someone comes across it, even if it's one person that comes across my video, will be encouraged when she's going into labor. Anyways, let's get right into this video. I'll just talk about like weeks leading up to the birth of my baby. So I'll say 1 week before I had my baby, I was exhausted already. Like, I told myself that I was tired. I was wondering why this baby wasn't coming out, because from what I read and from what I've seen, the more kids you have, the more quicker they come. I don't know if that's true, I don't know, but I just saw it on the internet, and I figured and thought that, okay, with this third baby, it's gonna be like a breeze. Like, she's just gonna come out maybe 38 weeks, 39 weeks, and we're done with it. And I'm further into 39 weeks, and this baby's not moving. Like, she's moving, but she's not really like, so showing any signs that she's going to come out. And I was so cranky. I remember telling my husband, let's go for a walk, let's do this, let's do that. And he was like, this baby's gonna come, and this baby's gonna come when she's ready. And I know that I got so mad, and I was like, what do you mean she's gonna come in? You have to do this, I have to go for a walk, I have to, there's just a whole lot of things that the internet they were suggesting you should do if you want your baby to come like that day. And I did all of those things, and this baby didn't move. This baby was not coming. I was super angry and super cranky 1 week leading up to the birth of the baby. I laugh at it now, because thinking about it, I'm like, damn, that was, all those things I did were a little bit crazy. But the thing that actually made me worried and wanted this baby out was because every single time I go for my OB/GYN, for my OB's appointment, they'll always tell me that the baby is big, so it's a big baby, and this baby is like in the 99 percentile. And that if this baby doesn't come out in so week, then we might have to plan for an induction. So I was really, scared. And with my second baby, I had an induction, and it wasn't really a very positive thing, because it was just so much. So I was kind of scared to have another induction. So that was why I was actually very committed to getting the baby out of me before her due date, or before the time for the induction. So 1 week to that, to the induction day, 1 week to the day that she was supposed to come, that's her due date. Her due date was on the 25th, and my baby came on the 24th. So her induction was scheduled for the 25th, and we said, okay, fine. The doctor said, she's not coming, we have to schedule for her induction, and we also have to schedule that in case there's an emergency with this baby, then we have to have a C-section. And I was so scared. I was like, what do you mean by that? So, but because I've never had it, like, I don't know, they said the baby's very big, so that scared me, and it made me, I stopped eating that much, because I was scared. I didn't want to eat so that the baby wouldn't grow more. That's so stupid. So that the baby wouldn't grow more, so the baby can come out, and since they said it was a big baby, my mind was also out of thinking that I was going to give birth vaginally. I just said, okay, what, probably it's going to be CS. That's what came to my mind, because I'm like, I don't know if my body is going to be able to push out a big baby the way they were making it seem. So anyways, so my baby came on the 24th. On the 23rd, I started having some contractions, and I was like, these contractions are a little bit closer than the ones I was having before. What is going on? Is this baby about to come? And I know woke my husband up. I told him I'm having some contractions and all that. He was like, okay, do you think we should go to the hospital? I was like, no, I know that they might send me back. I don't want a situation where I go to the hospital and they send me back and they tell me, oh, I'm sorry, you're not contracting, or you haven't gone far enough and you have to go home. But these contractions, they were coming. So I told my husband, you know what, let's go to the hospital. I'm feeling these contractions. And he said, okay. We packed our bags, my other kids were with my mom, so we had to go to the hospital. So we went to the hospital. The way the nurses were looking at me is like, I don't think this lady's in labor. But the contractions were coming and going. And the funny thing is, the moment we got to the hospital, the contractions stopped. I was like, oh my God. Do I have to fake this contraction so that they can just check and see if I'm dilated or something? And it was funny because when we came to triage and they checked, I was only 1 centimeters. And I know I cried my eyes out in the car going home because 1 week before then, my OB has already checked and measured me and I was still 1, so that means I wasn't even progressing. So I was like, but the contractions are more than usual. What is happening? And I was just so angry and so frustrated. And then we went home, and then around, I would say around 4 a.m. oh my God, I couldn't sleep anymore. I was turning in bed. Oh my God, I was super tired. My waist, my back, everything was just hurting. And I was like, okay, this doesn't feel like contraction, but it feels like a whole lot of pain. Like, I don't know how to explain it. So I know what the contractions feels like, but this one was more of a painful one. And I was like, what is happening? This, I don't know. Then I used this app. There's this app that I use. I'm going to put it up. I'll probably put it in my description box. So that app, I used it to track. So that's actually a good thing to get as a pregnant woman who wants to track her contractions. I use that app. It's completely free. Anytime I'm having contractions, I just press it, contractions, and then until it stops. Whenever it stops, it reads it for you and then tells you whether you should go to the hospital or if you should still stay home. So when I had contractions, I pushed the button, and then when it stops, I push the button, and then it told me alert, you're ready to go to the hospital. But I was like, I don't want to. I mean, yesterday I just went to the hospital and I'm back, and now this one, I know it's stronger, but I don't want them to send me back. I think I'm not serious. So I said, okay, you know what, I'm just going to endure it. I have kind of like a high tolerance for pain. So I was like, okay, you know what, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm overreacting or something like that. My husband was actually sleeping, so I went to the bathroom. I stood up, went to the bathroom, to the washroom. I was like, okay, you know what, let me just drink some water, wash my face and see how I feel. And then, oh boy, it was becoming worse. So I was managing it until 7 a.m. I woke my husband up. I told him, listen, I don't care what the doctors say. It's happening. I have to go. These contractions they are coming, and it's terrible. At that time I was already crying and my mom was consoling me. Oh my gosh, trust me, no woman understands another woman like a woman who has given birth. I don't know if I said that right, but what I want to say is that when you see another mom who have had a baby or who's pregnant, you just know what they are going through. They don't really have to tell you what they're going through. You just know. So my mom was looking at me and I saw it in her face. She was like, oh my God, you would do great. And she started praying for me. She started decreeing over my life that I'm going to have this baby. And oh my God, that woman is a woman of God. I just want to thank God for her life. And I don't even know how she did it because she had 5 kids. Anyways, I had to dress up with my husband. Let's go. I mean, this baby is coming out. These contractions are closer together. And then we went to the hospital. The hospital was like 30 minutes drive. I told myself I was going to vlog and make stories and all that, but I couldn't do any of those. I just managed to get some clips when we arrived at the hospital and when we were at triage. So when we came in, there were other pregnant women waiting and there was no room. So I was like, oh my God, what do you mean there's no room? And I was having contraction. And the funny thing is the contraction, because I was thinking, okay, maybe it's going to happen like yesterday. Once I get to the hospital, the contractions will stop. I don't know, contractions, they do that. And I've seen a story of someone who says that she was having contractions at home. When she came to the hospital, they just stopped, like completely. So I was like, okay, maybe that's going to happen to me. But I said, you know what, I'm just going to go. And then when I came, I was contracting. And the funny thing is that it didn't go away. When I was having contraction, I would hold my husband, and the nurses were looking at me. They were like, okay, you know what? We need to get this lady, we need to get Treasure to a room. We need to have a room for her and check what's going on. And when they checked, I was already 6 centimeters dilated. It was, yeah, I was already 6 centimeters dilated, and they were looking at me like, oh my god, you're so strong, but we don't have a room for you. So I was like, oh my gosh, no room, really? And I was like, yeah. They were like, yeah, there's no room. I would have to wait a little bit. But they started asking me some questions, if I wanted an epidural, if I wanted something for the pain and all that. So I told her yes, that I really needed something for the pain, because the pains were really intense, right? So they got me this gas. There was this gas that I think they give most pregnant women for pain. I don't know what it's called. So they gave me that gas. I think they called it laughing gas. I think so, because that name was very funny when she said it, laughing gas. So when she gave me the gas, I put it in my mouth, my nose and my mouth area, and then she left to go bring something. So I remember coughing, and I was like, what is this? I don't know, this gas is somehow, I've never experienced something like that before. I started coughing, my throat became very itchy. So when the nurse came back, I told her this laughing gas is actually itchy on my throat, and she said, okay, you know what, no worries, they'll take it out and I'll just have to manage my pain. I told her, okay, I'd rather manage the pain than use that gas, and I don't want to think about contractions and think about like itchy throats and all that. So she took out the laughing gas, and then it was time to checked me again. They checked again. It was 6 centimeters. Oh, no, I think I was 6 centimeters to 7 centimeters. So there was no more change. So she was like, okay, I'm not really dilating as fast as she thought that I might, but the pains were too much. So when there was a room, there was an availability. So they said, okay, I could come in. So I and my husband, they moved us to a room. They told us, you're having this baby today. I was like, yes, finally this baby's about to come. I felt every emotion. I was super excited to meet my baby, and at the same time I had to call my mom to check on the kids, and they were all fine, they were all doing well. Grandma was taking care of them well. So it was we were there from 7 a.m. up until I would say the next morning. I'd say around 6 p.m. I was dilating and all that, but it was pretty slow. It wasn't as fast as I thought it was going to be. So they asked me if I wanted the epidural. I told her yes, I would want the epidural, because I've had it with my 2 kids and I didn't really see the need, why not to, right? So the epidural guy came in, they did the epidural. I was feeling great, and the funny thing is, after the epidural I felt really good. So if you're thinking about having an epidural and you're like scared or worried about the needles and all that, once it goes in, it's like a sting, but once it goes in, that's it, and you feel much better. So they told me that I can sleep, have a nap before the baby comes, and I said, okay, no worries. So she got this peanut ball and she put it by my leg and asked me to lie on my side so that we'll see if everything progresses, which they did, and I stayed. So I was sleeping. I remember it vividly. I was sleeping. This was around 8 p.m. I was sleeping and I heard boom. My husband was sleeping too. When he heard that sound, he jumped up. I jumped, like, not like I jumped because I couldn't even feel my legs, but I was like, oh, what is happening? What is happening? And then it was my water. So my water, like, with the first baby, my water broke, but it was just drips. So I didn't even know that my water broke until I looked at my pants and I'm like, oh, what are those? I'm not peeing. Am I peeing on myself? No. Like, it was just drops of stuff that couldn't go away. I changed my clothes and it was still there. So I was like, okay, maybe my water is broken. With the second one, they broke my water themselves after the induction. And with this third one, it was like, and then the sound that we heard was the water breaking, and also the machine, the stuff they used to track the baby's contractions and all that. So we had this sound as it was so loud, like pooh. And I was like, oh my god, are you okay? What? I was like, oh my god, I don't know. Oh, and the water was just gushing out. I know people say, oh, it's only in the movies that water gush out, and all they do, like, it's just a drizzle, people are overreacting. Oh my god, the water, poof, it gushed out. And my husband had to call the nurse. He was like, hey, my water just broke and all that. That was when I started feeling contractions again. I was like, looks like this epidural is like fading away. Maybe I'll need another shot. And they said, if you need another shot, just press the button and then there's one, the shot will go through the spine or something like that. So after my water broke, I pressed it and then I felt much better. Then she said because my water has broken, I didn't want like an infection and all that. And the funny thing is that this water refused to stop. And I was so embarrassed because when the nurse was cleaning it, it was everywhere, like on the floor and everything. When she was cleaning it up, and she was like, okay, I think everywhere is clean now. Before you know it, more and more water kept, gushing. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. She was like, no, it's fine. I had the sweetest nurse ever. She was like, it's fine, it's okay. You're fine, you're okay. Don't feel bad and all that. This is why she's here. She's here to help. She's also a mom and all that. And she was so sweet. So after everything, she checked my contractions. She was like, okay, the contractions are coming close, and I might be having this baby anytime soon. So I thought, okay, that I'm also having that urge to push. She was like, really? I said, yeah. She said, okay, no worries. She's gonna check, and she checked, and I was 10 centimeters dilated. And she was like, oh my God, this baby is coming. I can feel the baby's head. And I was like, okay, can I? She said, don't push. I said, what do you mean, don't push? This baby is coming out already. How do I hold the baby in? Like, there's no way to hold the baby in. And the baby is coming out already. So she was like, no, that because the doctor is actually busy and giving birth to another baby, I would have to wait. So I had to wait, I think roughly 5-10 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, this baby is coming. I told myself if the baby comes out, it's fine. I'm not the type of person that would feel bad if the baby just comes out and later on the doctor comes. I'm like, no, if this baby is coming out, it's fine. This baby should come out. This baby is ready. So 5 to 10 minutes later, the doctor comes in with the whole team and everything. They were like, oh my God, this baby's out. The head is coming out. And I pushed her. I think it took roughly, I'll say 30 minutes or 40 minutes. I'm not sure the exact timing, but I know that I pushed her out. And the good thing was that I pushed her out and I called the name of Jesus. Jesus. I know that God has been a big story in my life. So He was the one who helped me throughout this pregnancy, and I wouldn't want to take all the glory that I just pushed out this baby on my own and everything was smooth and this baby came out and that. No, it's God who did it. God was with me all through these steps. So back to the story, I pushed out this baby came out and I kept hearing them saying, oh, she has a 2-degree tear, we're gonna stitch her, the placenta is out. And they carried this big huge baby and they put this baby on my chest and I was like, oh my God, that's a big baby. Oh my God, my baby weighed 4.3 kg. I'm going to put what it weighs in LBS. I don't know what that is, but I'm very familiar with kg. So she weighed 4.3 kg. My other two, the first one was 3.5 kg and the second one was 3.5 kg. So I had basically the same weight, birth weight for the two babies, but this one was 4.3. Oh my God. And when she came out, oh my God, she was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She was just adorable. She started crying and all that, and we had the bonding, the chest to chest and everything. It was just so magical and so emotional, and I am super excited. She is a big baby. She's 10 weeks. As of today, she's 10 weeks and 4 days. Yeah. So she has come a long way and she's growing in the grace and in the love of God. So yeah, that's actually what my birth story looks like. Now, after about 2 days, they said, okay, we're ready to, no, not 2 days. I think the next day we were discharged because everything was fine. My pain levels were tolerable and all that. And we were discharged. They asked us to go home and we packed our bags and we went home. So I want to also talk about few days after we went home. So we went home and after 3 days, I started feeling some kind of way. And I just knew that it was different. Like there was how I was feeling and I told myself that no, this feeling is different. I was still healing because this was like, like I said, 3 days after I had my baby. Sorry, I'm going to just hold this. My baby's sleeping, so I was going to hold the baby while I do this video so that I can introduce her to you. But the baby is sleeping and she's currently with my mom. So I'm down at the basement and I'm doing this video because I have been putting it off, but I told myself I'm gonna do this video. I really have to do this video. So yeah, this is my video buddy. So let's pretend this is my baby. Anyways, so after that 3 days, I started feeling some kind of way, and I told my husband, I don't know how I'm feeling. I don't feel too great, too good. And he said, okay, what's happening? I said, you know, my ribs, my chest, my back, like, and in my mind, I thought, okay, maybe because my drugs are like wearing off, maybe the medications I was taking, because I was taking both diclofenac and I was also taking Tylenol, so maybe they're just fading away and I have to take another one. Maybe I have to take a stronger dose or something. So I kind of like put it aside. I said, okay, you know what, I'm fine, everything is okay. So that night I fed my baby. After feeding my baby, I stood up to put her in her crib and I felt so dizzy, like I couldn't even open my eyes. And I was like, carried the baby and I was like, oh my God, I'm blanking out. And I had to just manage myself and kept this baby in her crib, and I started pleading the blood of Jesus. I was pleading the blood of Jesus, and I was like, oh my God, what is happening to me? What is happening to me? Then I called out for my mom, and I remember her running. I could remember her running. And she was like, oh my God, are you okay? I told her, Mom, I don't know what's happening to me. To be sincere with you, I was so scared when that happened. And I was calling the blood. My mom started speaking in tongues. She was calling the name of Jesus. She was praying, and I just laid down there and I started shivering. So I called my husband. I called my husband. I told him this is what's happening. He was like, okay, he's almost home from work. So I laid down. I was shivering, like, and he was like, are you cold? I said, I'm not really cold, but I don't know why I'm shivering. So he got some warm blankets, put them over me, and then I felt much better. Then I slept off, and that was it. I was like, okay. The next day I felt good. I felt great. I thanked God. I was like, okay, I think I'm feeling good. I think I'm okay. So we then went about our day, and then I would say 5 days or 6 days later, I started feeling some kind of way, and I was like, okay, this is the same way I was feeling before. I don't know what's happening, but there's something wrong. That's what I told myself, there's something wrong. And I remember our nurse, so very beautiful lady, very sweet lady. I remember her telling me when I was leaving that even though that you're leaving the hospital, if you feel any kind of way, I should reach out to 811. I think that's the call link, that's the health link for but I don't know if it's Alberta or if it's the whole of Canada, but that's the number I was given for any emergency. I could go into emergency or just give them a call. So that's what I did. I gave the lady a call, 811, and the nurse was like, okay, she was asking me some questions like, okay, how are you feeling? Are you taking your medications? I answered yes, I'm doing all that. And then she asked me, you know, what are my symptoms, what am I feeling? I started explaining to her that I have this pain in my chest under my boobs, and then my back hurts, and then I have abdominal pain. She was like, okay, what else? I said my feet were very swollen. I don't know why my feet and my fingers and my hands were really swollen, but I felt like, okay, the swelling is just normal because there's just lots of fluid in your body. And when I read it, people just said that the swelling will go down because there's just lots of fluid that went into your body during labor, so it will just ease off, you know, just elevate your legs and all that. So when I told her all of those things, she was like, okay, that she's suspecting something, but she has to confirm something else before she can say, okay, this is what is happening to me. That was when I was like, okay, I think this is serious. So she said, do I have like the BP monitor at home? I said no. I mean, I don't have it at home. I don't have BP. I've never had BP issues or problems even during pregnancy. She was like, okay, is there a way I can get one? I said, yeah, I think I can get one. My husband was at work, so I just used Instacart and they got it for me at the house. So she said, you know, check your BP. If it's above 140, just go into emergency. I was like, okay, this is serious. Okay, so I bought the machine. The machine came 10 to 15 minutes later. By then I was already praying in my heart, and I was like, God, I can't leave my baby. My baby is just 5 days old. I can't, I mean, like, what do you mean I should go into the hospital? So I checked my BP and it was 165. That was when I was like, oh my God, 165? That is, I mean, she said when it's 140, so 165 is like, it's like very high. So I told myself, I told my mom, her mom, this is what happening. This is what the nurse said. This is what the score is, 165. And she was like, maybe I just need to rest. Maybe I should, because she was like, maybe I've stressed myself for that day, taking care of the other kids. Maybe I should just lie down and rest. She's going to take care of the whole kids. I should sleep, and, the BP is going to be fine. I said, okay, no worries. I went upstairs, lay down on the bed. I couldn't lie down. It was as if there's this big stone placed in my chest. I couldn't even breathe. I had to sit up. I was like, what am I doing? What am I afraid of? I said, okay, I'll check my BP one more time. I did, and it came down to 146. So I was like, okay, it's no longer 160, 164. Okay. I think it's coming down. But I don't know if it's the Holy Spirit, but I don't know what it is. But there was something that was leading my hand to obey that instruction, go into the hospital. So I told my mom, I'm going into emergency. She was like, are you serious? Is it that serious? I'm like, well, I have high tolerance for pain. So even though I'm feeling all these pains, I don't know how to explain to you guys that I'm in pain. But, confirming with this BP, I really think I have to go into the hospital. So I didn't want to drive. So I called Uber. My husband was at work. So I called Uber. Uber came. And I entered the car, and he took me to emergency. He was asking me some questions, and I just told him, what I was feeling and what's going on. And he was like, oh, his wife just had a baby too. And, he was trying to encourage me. God bless him. Anyways, we got to emergency. The nurse looked at me and she was like, am I okay? I told her, no, I'm not okay. She was like, okay, come forward. What's happening? I told her everything. I showed her my feet, my swollen feet. I showed her my hands. I told her all the pains I was feeling. And I told her my BP was also high. She checked, my BP was 142 also, and she was like, yeah, we need to get you a room. So they got me a room. Before they got me a room, sorry, I'm just trying to remember, before they got me a room, they said I had to do a lot of tests. So I went into the clinic, did some tests, I did x-rays and all that. So, and then they gave me a bed. I was lying down there, and the first thing they did was monitor. They put the BP stuff on my arms, and I asked them, like, what is really going on? Like, what's going on? So they said it's preeclampsia, and I'm like, what? Like, what is that? Like, I've never heard of that ever in my life. Like, that was the first time I've ever heard of it. She was like, oh, that happens to pregnant women. It also happens to you, 30 days after birth, so you have to watch out. I'm like, but no one told me. Like, why is it that no one said anything? Like, they just bid you farewell. They say, oh, enjoy your baby. If you have any issues, call. But nobody tells you, like, this is what can happen. Or apparently because maybe I'm ignorant. Maybe I would have researched or done something. I don't know. But I was like, okay, so what is preeclampsia? So they just started explaining it to me. It could be blood in your protein in your urine, high blood pressure, and so many things. But they didn't really want to say much. They were just full on action. So they gave me there's this drip that was given. I have actually forgotten the name, but I'll put it, if I remember, I would look for the name of that medication. It's a drip form. I had to take it for 1 hour. So they put it in, and then they started measuring my BP, and my BP started coming down. So it was still high, but it was now down to like 138, 139, 136. So they wanted it to come down to 120, but it couldn't come down. So then they were like, okay, you know what, we're going to transfer you to a bigger hospital. And then they're going to, track it from there. They asked me if I wanted the ambulance. I said no. By then, my husband had come. I called him. He left work, and he came to work. He was like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening? I told him, everything that was happening. He was so happy that I went into the hospital instead of like, my kind of person out, always like endure the pain. I'm fine. I'm okay. But anyways, we went to the main hospital. We're the main hospital. We actually spent 3 good days in that hospital, and it was, I don't know, I don't want to say it was a tough time for us, because it was, but at the same time, it was a trying time for us because I didn't want to be far from my baby. I haven't even pumped because I was planning on breastfeeding and, exclusively breastfeeding and pumping at the same time. So I haven't even pumped for the baby, so the baby had no food. So what we would do is I would use my machine pump. My husband would take it to the baby, bring back the kids from daycare, give the baby some food, then come back, buy food for me. So it was just those days that we were in the hospital. It was, oh my god, it was something else. But anyways, I thank God that we are 10 weeks in, we are healthy. God has been faithful to us. That is basically my birth story. And then on a lighter note, I would like to tell you some tips or some things that I'll say that actually helped this baby come out one day to the time of induction, because I tried to do every single thing for this baby to come out before that induction day. So I don't know if these things helped. Maybe if they did, it can help you as well. So raspberry tea, I'm sure you've seen it in every video. I tried drinking raspberry tea. I wasn't consistent with it, but I didn't mix it with like pineapple and all that. No, I just drank it just like that. And I remember drinking it like I think once or twice a day, and I think I drank it for like 3, 4, 5 days. But I have heard that you should drink it like a week before like your due date, so that it can start to work and soften like your cervix and all that. But I drank it late, so I started drinking it late, so I feel like it would help. It would. I don't know if it did. I really don't know if it actually helped or not. But I was swear by exercising. So because this baby was huge and my tummy was huge, I couldn't even do much stuff. So I remember dancing on TikTok. I remember dancing, and I was like doing some exercise to see if this baby will come out, and I did all those, exercises, and the baby, because when I saw those exercises on TikTok, they were like, oh, after this exercise, the next day the baby came out. But I did those exercises like 1 week, 2 weeks before then, and the baby refused to come out. So I don't know if that helped at all, but so many people swear by those exercises, so you can actually check them out on TikTok. Exercises that will help you dilate quicker, or that will help your cervix to soften and all that. So I did that as well. And the other thing that I did is that I know that I went on walks. The day that we went to the hospital, I remember we going for a walk that's the day that they sent us home. We went for a walk, I think in the morning before then. So probably that walk was the thing that made me have that contraction, but they were not really the real thing, probably just Braxton Hicks. So yeah, so that's basically it. The funny thing about telling these stories later is that most times you don't really remember everything, like you want to, but it's still a little bit fresh in my memory. That's why I was able to, narrate the story. But yeah, that's basically what happened, and I just want to encourage you, if you're watching this video and you're heavily pregnant, or you've given birth and you're looking for some birth story like this is a positive one. Trust me, God was faithful all through the time. My pregnancy was smooth. I never had any issues, so I really thank God for that. So yeah, that's basically it. So if you have watched to the end of this video, I want to say thank you. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. I'm begging you. Subscribe to this channel. This channel is positive. It's all about God. It's all about motherhood. It's all about my life in Canada. So yeah, if you like to stick around in this channel, you can also check out my birth vlog. It was a very positive and empowering and emotional one. I would like you to check it out actually. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.